As we journey through life, especially into the later stages of our earthly existence, we begin to observe a gentle but often painful unraveling of connections, a spiritual pruning that can leave us feeling lost, confused, or abandoned, particularly when familiar faces begin to disappear from our lives. Many elderly individuals, sitting quietly in their favorite armchairs or looking out through the lace curtains of memory-laden windows, ponder the heartbreaking question, why did God allow this person to leave me? Whether it was a friend who simply faded away, a child who grew distant, a sibling who no longer calls, or a spouse who passed on, the sense of absence can feel overwhelming. But within this quiet sorrow lies a deeper spiritual truth, a truth that reveals itself not through loud answers but through soft understanding that comes with age, wisdom, and surrender. As we grow older, our hearts become fertile ground for spiritual awakening, and the seemingly random departures of people from our lives are often divine acts wrapped in disguise. They are not punishments or cosmic rejections but sacred interventions. You see, not everyone who starts the journey with us is meant to finish it beside us. Some are placed in our lives for a single season, a specific reason, or a brief but meaningful lesson. And when their role in our soul's journey is complete, God gently, sometimes abruptly, ushers them out, not to harm us, but to free us. Free us from attachments that hinder our growth, from relationships that no longer nurture us, or from energies that pull us away from our higher purpose. Much like how a gardener prunes the branches of a tree not out of cruelty but to encourage stronger, healthier growth, God, in His boundless mercy, removes people who can no longer walk with us into the next chapter of our spiritual story. The process is rarely easy. The pain of loss can pierce deeply, especially when memories flood in uninvited, like the laughter of old friends, the sound of a partner's voice in the hallway, or the touch of a grandchild's hand who has now grown and moved far away. But in those tender moments of remembrance, we must ask ourselves, was their purpose served? Did they fulfill the role God had assigned to them in our lives? Sometimes, the answer is yes, and that realization becomes the first step toward peace. For every person God removes, He leaves behind a spiritual imprint, an echo of love, a lesson in resilience, a glimpse of what we are capable of surviving. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, that emptiness becomes sacred space, a place where grace begins to enter, and healing can finally unfold. When we reach our 60s, 70s, and 80s, we begin to see that life is not just a collection of people and events, it is a carefully woven tapestry of divine appointments and spiritual exits. Every face we once cherished, every name we once whispered in prayer, every hand we once held, these were part of God's intricate plan, a plan that often requires subtraction before multiplication, endings before beginnings, and tears before transformation. Some people leave because they were never meant to stay forever. Their exit was written in the same breath as their entrance. They came to comfort us during one season, to challenge us in another, and to shape us into the elders of wisdom we are becoming. And then, when their task was complete, God, knowing what our soul truly needed next, allowed their chapter to close. At other times, people walk away not because they no longer love us, but because their own path has diverged. They are being called to different lessons, to grow in directions we cannot follow. And though it hurts to let go, we must remember that growth often requires distance. In spiritual terms, letting go is not a loss, it is an act of trust, a trust in God's ability to fill what has been emptied, to restore what has been broken, and to bring new people into our lives when the time is right. As we enter the sacred age of reflection, we begin to realize that not all relationships are meant to last a lifetime. Some are meant to awaken parts of us we never knew existed. Others are meant to teach us the value of boundaries, the necessity of self-worth, or the meaning of unconditional love. There are even some whose sole purpose was to hurt us so that we would finally cry out to God for healing, and in that cry, find our true strength. Every goodbye has a divine fingerprint on it, even if it feels like a wound at first. The elderly heart, tender yet wise, begins to understand that divine removal is a form of spiritual redirection. God never subtracts without the intention to multiply later. He never removes without the desire to replace, with peace, with purpose, with people who are aligned with our soul's evolution. In solitude, we discover our true selves. In silence, we hear the whispers of the divine. It is in the quiet aftermath of loss that we begin to hear God more clearly, feel His presence more profoundly, and understand His love more deeply. Some of the most transformative moments in our lives occur not when we gain, but when we lose. We lose illusions. We lose dependencies. We lose identities that no longer define us. And in that sacred space of letting go, we are reborn. Elderly individuals, especially, come to embrace this truth, often realizing that some of the greatest blessings were hidden in unanswered prayers, in closed doors, and in the people who left without explanation. The human heart naturally wants to cling to people, to memories, to routines, but the soul longs for freedom. It longs for alignment with its creator. And sometimes, that alignment requires separation from the very people we thought we couldn't live without. This realization does not come overnight. It comes slowly, over many sunrises and sunsets, over cups of tea sipped alone, over prayers whispered in the dark, over the ache of missing someone who no longer calls. But eventually, clarity dawns, and with it comes peace. A peace that tells you, God saw what you couldn't. God heard what they said when you weren't around. God knew their energy could no longer match yours. God, in His mercy, stepped in and removed them, not to hurt you, but to protect you, to grow you, to prepare you for the next divine appointment. And oh, how many elderly souls have shared this truth, that after years of heartache and wondering, they now see the beauty in the removal. They see how their lives became lighter, their minds clearer, their hearts more open to God's whispers. They see how space was made for new friendships, for deeper prayer, for true purpose. And this wisdom is not born of bitterness, it is born of surrender. Surrender to a God who never makes mistakes, even when His actions break our hearts for a while. It is in that surrender that we discover our true power, not the power to control, but the power to trust. The power to bless those who left. The power to forgive without receiving an apology. The power to thank God for both the meeting and the parting. For the elderly heart that has been wounded by absence, hear this: you are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are being refined, purified, and drawn closer to the only one who will never leave you. God's presence is steady. His love is constant. His plan is unfolding, even now, even in this quiet moment where you read these words and feel a tear form in your eye. Let it fall. Let the pain be felt. And then let it be released. Because what awaits you is greater than what was taken. What lies ahead is more peaceful than what is behind. You are walking not toward loneliness, but toward sacred solitude, where you will meet the most faithful companion your soul has ever known. So if someone has left your life recently, or even long ago, and you still feel the echo of their absence, take a deep breath and say this prayer: Thank you, God, for the people you placed in my life. Thank you for the lessons they brought, the joy they gave, and even the pain they left behind. Thank you for removing who needed to be removed, and for making space for what is coming next. I trust your plan. I trust your timing. I trust you. And with that, let your spirit rise. Let your heart find comfort. Let your soul be at ease. Because you are not alone. You are deeply loved. You are still on a journey, one guided not by chance, but by the very hand of God. Every goodbye you've endured has been witnessed by heaven. Every loss has been softened by grace. And every tear has been counted and will be redeemed in joy. Hold on to that truth, walk forward with peace, and remember, when God removes someone from your life, He is not taking love away, He is preparing your heart to receive love in its purest form. If this message brought light to your spirit and peace to your heart, make sure to subscribe to Noor Shah TV and click the bell icon to stay connected to more soul-healing reflections like this.